And for more, we take you back out to Sin City, where part of our award-winning family of the NFL on CBS joins us now. Trent Green taking in this battle at the bottom. I do want to just assess the competitive spirit you saw on the field this Sunday, because from Monday through Saturday, we're talking about all these omissions, all these players that won't play. What did you see when the ball was kicked and the whistle was blown?
Well, here's the thing you have to remember. As players and coaches, you're trying to win the game. You're not worried about draft picks. I think Max Crosby said that earlier in the week, and that may be one of the reasons why they put him on IR. You know, you start looking at the different guys. You mentioned a lot of guys on both rosters placed on IR or inactive today, number of starters that didn't play. So what kind of attitude were you going to see? And I thought you saw a Giants team that came out very focused and determined. All three phases they did well. You mentioned Jaxson Dart's numbers, how well he did, over 70% complete. And he had the 2 rushing touchdowns. The defense played really well, kept the Raiders under 300 yards of offense. And then special teams, they had a kickoff return by Banks for touchdown that really solidified all 3 phases for them.
As you look to plant the seeds of hope, it's easy to look at Jaxson Dart after this first season. It is, as many rookie seasons are, ups and downs, ebbs and flows. But in your prep for this game and in what you've seen all season long, what do you make of a nearly complete rookie season here for Jaxson Dart?
I think he's the guy. I think they found their quarterback. I think when you talk to Brian Dable before he was fired and you talk to Mike Kafka like we did this week, they all think he has that it factor, the leadership factor. The physical part is there in terms of his arm strength, his competitiveness, his leadership, what he does with his legs. I know there's been a lot talked about, especially in New York, about being able to protect him because of the concussion earlier this year and how many big hits he does take. They've done a good job of limiting the number of designed runs. Today, they went back to more designed runs, and he was able to get out of bounds a few times and not take some big hits. So I think they do have the guy, their future quarterback. A lot's going to be determined on who they hire as a head coach, who they hire as an offensive coordinator, because that will be the key to his development moving forward.
Yeah, multiple voices in that helmet this rookie season. Important most is that voice that's going to be leading the way in the sophomore season. I'm not sure where you'd like to go here on Las Vegas, because when we're looking to plant seeds of hope there, it's not as fruitful as even a place like New York. Questions at the quarterback, questions of the future of the head coach moving forward at his age, questions with the star defensive end. Where do you look for the silver lining when you look at the silver and black?
Well, I think the thing you have to lean on is number one, Pete Carroll's a winner, right? He's been a winner at every different level, both college and professionally, and what he's been able to do. The other positive is they're going to have a high draft pick. Depending on what happens next week, they may have the top pick. They have to decide what they're going to do. You brought up the quarterback position. You know, do you decide to go with Geno Smith, or do you decide to draft someone? The fact that they have over $100 million or around $100 million in cap space, so I think that's some of the silver lining. You're going to have draft capital or high draft picks. You're going to have money to spend, and you've got a proven leader and winner in Pete Carroll, and deciding what they do. He's got to hire some coaches, right? He's got an interim offensive coordinator. Do you keep Greg Olson on and make him the permanent offensive coordinator, or do you go out and get somebody? Do you go out and get a quarterback? Do you try and secure some things? I think they found somebody in Genty, in terms of Aston Genty, their running back. I think you need to go out and get a big receiver again, because right now they don't have like that threat at the wide receiver position to go along with Brock Bowers, who will be back next year. So there are some things that are there. There are some pieces in place. How they spend their cap money and how they utilize the draft, I think, is going to be a big part of that.
A proven leader with our team with the NFL on CBS. Always, Trent Green, appreciative of your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so that's how the cookie crumbles in Las Vegas. A win for the Giants, but maybe a loss in terms of draft stock. A loss here against the Las Vegas Raiders would have cemented them into that top overall pick. Instead, it's another positive experience for Jaxson Dart, who runs 2 more into the end zone. Now sits 3rd in terms of rushing touchdowns by a rookie quarterback, surpassing Josh Allen here on Sunday. Well, they do get a win here. They're first under the interim coach in Mike Kafka, and it moves them from the top overall pick now to the 2nd overall pick. You heard it, Wan'Dale Robinson, 11 for 113, crosses the 1,000-yard mark. As for the Raiders, now tied for their most losses in a season in franchise history. One more, and number 1 is yours. Back in studio with the fellas, he is CBS lead NFL insider Jonathan Jones. That's the 2-time champ Bryant McFadden and the future gold jacket Patrick Peterson. This wasn't a good football game, these aren't good football teams, but we do have a result and plenty to take out of it. Mac, what do you take from this 60 minutes of football?
Well, hats off to the New York Football Giants, because they were facing a team, they were without Max Crosby, without Brock Bowers, and a slew of other quality players to their team. So we felt like this would be a ball game regardless of what you feel when it comes to tanking and playing for picks. In the NFL, players, they can care less about that. They want to win the ball game. And we feel like this was a game for the Giants to take advantage of. This was a favorable matchup because of some of the players that were not participating for the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's what we saw. I mean, 34-10. And I really enjoyed listening to Trent Green there with you, Joe, because he talked about Jaxson Dart, and he is the guy for the organization. I know we heard some premature conversations about where they could potentially be in the draft in 2026. Would they consider maybe taking a quarterback? No, Jaxson Dart is the best player for your team at that position. I love the dual threat that he has. Of course, he needs to improve in throwing the football, but just the athleticism, when things are not there with the passing game, he can make things happen in the running element. He's a playmaker. He is a bona fide playmaker. You just got to make sure he can stay healthy. But when he is healthy and when he's on the football field, good things usually happen under his watch. And we saw that tonight. He was the better quarterback on the football field. He was the best playmaker on the football field. He put forth, almost 30 points because they had the kick return. But outside of that, offensively, it was a very, very efficient day for the Giants offensively, led by their quarterback in Jaxson Dart.
And speaking of efficiency, they was able to put together drives. 6 of 13 on third downs, scored in the red zone. Defense came up big, and getting a special team score, that always lead to big-time points on the scoreboard. So Jaxson Dart, he didn't have to do much. He was, 22 of 30, 207 yards, rushed the ball 9 times for 48 yards. His longest rush today was 23 yards. So if he's able to stay out of harm's way, defense is able to play like they did today, maybe he can be the answer for the New York Giants in 2026.
Because to your point, you don't see many 15-play touchdown drives by bad football teams or bad quarterbacks. We do see one of those here from the Giants. We're sitting there watching the game with some Giants fans upstairs saying, here we are again, and good for Jaxson Dart and good for the maturation, but not good for us because they want to control the draft. It's not yet out of the question that they will have that first overall pick, but they could have cemented it here on Sunday, JJ. You play to win the games.
Yeah, I really actually don't care what Giants fans wanted. I think it's ridiculous because you have the quarterback, right? If you didn't have the quarterback, I am less offended by the Raiders tanking than I would be if the Giants were attempting to tank. Right, because the Giants right now that they slide to the second slot, they could actually go down to the 7. So they're going to pick somewhere between 1 to 7. The Raiders, we anticipate, will lose next week. They'll lock up the 1. But the Giants, you have your quarterback, right? And if this is a 1-quarterback draft class in Fernando Mendoza, then that's okay. And yes, you may want to get one so that you can trade back, and you would trade with the Jets and maybe get one of their many first-round picks or whatever. Here is what is more important than the draft picks, in my opinion. And I think this opinion is held by a number of football evaluators. Jaxson Dart and the players there need to taste winning.
Yeah.
Yes.
They need to understand what it is like to win. It's almost been 3 months since they last won. He had won twice in his NFL career. He hates losing. If you had lost this game for hoping that you can get some future draft picks, that doesn't help Jaxson Dart today. And it's not going to help Jaxson Dart really in 2026. What will help him is building a winning culture there and him doing it with the Wan'Dale Robinsons and doing it with the Tyrone Tracys who are there and Cam Skattebo and Malik Neighbors seeing that and Andrew Thomas coming back and all of those things. That is what is going to help the future of the New York Giants, not tanking against a really bad team, a far worse team than you, who is actively attempting to lose this game. I'm glad that the Giants won. They needed to win, and they got the win.
Winning is a flavor that everybody loves. Losing an acquired taste, and that's what the Las Vegas Raiders have had to get used to here.
Yep.
They say the players on the field don't care about your draft picks. I'm not here to cast any sort of doubt on that assertion towards the Raiders, but this looks like a team that's fine losing football games right now, Mac.
They have a talent issue. That's an issue. And then the quarterback, they got to find the answer at the quarterback position. And I don't want to put all the blame on Geno Smith because you can't. But
we've been saying this for a month and a half.
Yeah, but the thing
We're
about
there.
this situation with Geno, his offensive line has been horrible. They're missing their best offensive lineman. because of injuries, right? And you can put whoever in the backfield to be the quarterback. He's going to be running for his life. We saw that with Geno. We saw that with Kenny Pickett. It doesn't matter who you put back there. The offensive line has been bad, and that has been a matchup that most defenders exploit when they play against the Raiders. So when you look at this season, this was a heck of an intro for Pete Carroll coming back into the National Football League. They got to add talent. They got to add some wide receivers. They got to figure out what they're going to do at the quarterback position. They got to add some talent on the defensive side. And they're in a division, even though we might feel like the dynasty is not the same with the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, the Chargers, they're not going anywhere. The Denver Broncos are not going anywhere. And both of those teams have really high-level defensive units that can put pressure on whoever it is they're playing against, especially a team like the Raiders, where they have some holes on the offensive line. So they can't get to the offseason fast enough.
Yeah. And solid quarterback play.
Yes. All really, really good quarterback play in that division. So the offseason can't come fast enough for the Raiders to kind of get this bad taste out of their mouth and put all their attention in improving for 2026.
And not only that, they have an opportunity to do that because they have nearly, $100 million in cap space to spend in the offseason. So Pete Carroll have some.
Well, Pete Carroll's another question, but how do you sell all of this? How do you sell all of this to a locker room and specifically to the leadership? Max Crosby wants to be out there on the football field in the best interest of the franchise that he is not this week and next. Yeah, that we understand, but we're saying one thing and doing another. I just wonder what the discourse inside that locker room is like right now.
I mean, honestly, it's hard to tell. You know, it's hard to tell what's going on in that locker room. But if Max Crosby has been dealing with this knee injury for 9 weeks, that's what the report's been coming out of Vegas, that he's been limited in practice. There's no way that I'm putting my star player out there. You know, but at the end of the day, Max Crosby looks like he don't want to be a Las Vegas Raider anymore. So I won't be surprised if he's even on that roster next year.
Well, you know what they say, it's up to the coaches and the organization to protect the player from the player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've seen major injuries happen to high-level players over the last few weeks. This was a meaningless game. And if there's an opportunity, if you play Max Crosby, that something could really happen which would hurt his chances to be with you in 2026, then he's going to be mad. Let him get over it.
Yeah. Well, the chances were there last week, and the chances were there the week before, and the chances were there the week before. He's been dealing with this for 9 weeks. You decided this week that now was enough.
Now, that's another topic of discussion.
Last week was meaningless, too.
Yeah.
The week before was meaningless as well.
I mean, they've been in a lot of meaningless games. But to your point, now I'm pulling the plug.
So Max Crosby, here's the reason. If you go back to March, John Spytek takes over as general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders. And before Myles Garrett gets paid, before T.J. Watt gets paid and all that, they paid Max Crosby. That regime had just gotten there, and they paid him because they wanted to send a message to the locker room. This is a true Las Vegas Raider. You do things this way, you play when you're doubtful on the injury report, then you get paid. And they paid him at the top of the market at the time. And so because you want to play follow the leader, this is what the leader wants to do. Yeah, I'm banged up. So is everybody else out there on the field. Yeah, I might need off-season surgery. So do half the guys out here. I want to go out there and play. And yeah, he did not take that well. And the players, because you have told the players to go follow that leader, that's where you get into trouble if you are the Raiders, when you do go and sit him in these meaningless games, because they're saying last week was meaningless as well. Here's the thing with the Raiders. They do have $100 million or so in cap space. They do need a quarterback, and they should have the #1 pick and the ability to get him. They have so many holes. They have so many gaps along the offensive line. They don't have enough draft picks to get them, and they're not giving away really good offensive linemen in the NFL these days. You need a wide receiver. You were fine letting go of Jacoby Myers. You drafted Jack Besh, and that hasn't worked out. Defensively, you spent a whole lot of money on Christian Wilkins, and you don't want him anymore. Max Crosby apparently is going to come back next year. We'll see. But the head coach, Pete Carroll, has never, ever experienced a season like this, and he was one and done with the New York Jets 30 years ago. I do not anticipate seeing Pete Carroll back on the sideline for the Raiders again, and this is going to be a reset in a number of ways for the Raiders.
And does Max Crosby want to be a part of that reset, disgruntled enough to maybe ask for a trade? You said paid at the top of the market then. That's about at the middle of the market now. Very palatable contract as star edge rushers go for Max Crosby if he is to seek employment elsewhere. It's not up to him. It's up to the franchise. We'll see how it all plays out. It has not played out by design in year one of Pete Carroll, which could be year one and done for Carroll.